Let me give you an example of this, what I call progression of economic value, from commodities to goods to services and now to experiences. When I was growing up in the 1950s and 60s, we always had this annual event at our household. Perhaps you did as well. We called it the birthday party. Everybody have one of those? Well, for the birthday party, my mom would always bake a cake. And she would bake that cake from scratch, meaning that she actually touched commodities. She got out the milk and the sugar and the eggs and the cocoa and baked a cake from scratch. Now, if you think back to that time, how much did the commodities going into a cake cost? A dime or two, perhaps 3, 20 or 30 cents. But then in the 1960s and 1970s, along came manufacturers like Betty Crocker and Duncan Hines. And they took those same commodities, they mixed them up, they packaged them, and they put them on a grocery store shelf. And then moms everywhere would take those goods off the shelf and bake a cake. Now, in some cases, the cake wasn't as good as it was when they used commodities. In other cases, the cake was in fact better. But in all cases, mothers were now spending $2 or $3 for what was, as essence, 20 or 30 cents worth of stuff. Well, then in the 1970s and 1980s and in the 1990s, what happens now in today's time-starved world is we no longer have time to bake the cake. So parents everywhere would call up the corner grocery. And they say, hi, I'd like to order such and such a cake with this kind of frosting. I'd like to put this on top of it, and I'll pick it up at this time. Now, this service of having the cake baked for us costs $10, $15, maybe $20. But still at its core is only 20 or 30 cents worth of stuff. Well, now in the 1990s and into the year 2000, not only don't we bake the cake anymore, we don't throw the party anymore. We outsource it to some other company that is going to stage the experience for our kids. Whether that's Chuck E. Cheese's or Discovery Zone or a mining company or McDonald's Playland or Club Disney, or whether that's a museum, a zoo, or an aquarium, we now outsource that birthday party to other companies. For my daughter Elizabeth's 7th birthday, we still lived in Connecticut at the time, and I remember that for her birthday we went to a place called the New Pond Farm, which was a working farm that threw birthday parties. And at the New Pond Farm, we took my daughter Elizabeth and 14 of her closest friends there, and they got to brush the cows, and they got to pet the sheep, and they got to feed the chicken. They went on a hayride. They even got to make apple cider. Every kid took a turn throwing the apples in the bin and cranking that crank, and thereby they drank the apple cider that they made themselves. So divorced are we from the agrarian economy that just being on a farm is now an experience. And I remember when the party was basically over, when we had the gifts and we were cleaning up, I saw my wife get out her purse. And as I walked over there, she started to pull out her checkbook. I said, how much did this place cost? She said $146, not including the cake. So now we're spending $100, $150, $200, $250, or even more dollars to companies that will stage an experience for our kids, at the core of which is a birthday cake, which still has only 20 or 30 cents worth of stuff in it. So the question is, which business do you want to be in?